Hey there, folks. Welcome. My guest today is Mel K. No one can pronounce her last name, including Mel K. And so we just go by Mel K. But there's almost no way to describe her. She's an amazing journalist. She brings us information every time she's on here that you're not going to hear it anywhere else. She is really in the weeds, doing amazing work. She knew all about the deep state before any of us did. And so we're going to be talking to her about everything that is going on. Before we bring on Mel K, I want to remind you, we have a new sponsor on the program. It's Genesis Gold. And we're asking you, or I'm asking you, to do me a personal favor. Go to metaxasgoldira.com, metaxasgoldira.com. And you get a free gold guide. If you don't mind, I would appreciate that. They're a new sponsor. We believe in them and what they're doing. And if you want a safe place where you can ask questions about how do I go about getting my hands on some gold, we recommend them. So go to metaxasgoldira.com, metaxasgoldira.com. I want to remind you that we're freeing slaves in Southern Sudan. We do it every year, and this is kind of the big week. If you want to participate in this, and I don't know who wouldn't, we want you to join us. This is a great opportunity to do God's work, to literally, we're not misusing or overusing that word, to literally free a slave. Every $250 frees a slave and sets them up in a life of freedom. Radical Muslims have enslaved Christians. This is dark stuff, but the beauty is that we, by the grace of God, can participate in freeing slaves. We've been doing this for a number of years. It's very real. Go to ericmetaxas.com, ericmetaxas.com. The banner will come up and you and your family can participate in this. I hope you get excited about this. It's an exciting opportunity. Actually, before I go, I want to remind you, support our friend Mike Lindell. Mike, he's an American hero. You can help this program by going to mypillow.com, do some Christmas shopping at mypillow.com and mystore.com. Most of my books are there, kids' books too. Mystore.com, mypillow.com. Use the code ERIC. We appreciate it. God bless you. We'll be right back with Mel K. Folks, welcome back. Yes, I told you that we would have Mel K on the program. I believe I'm spelling that. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Is K? Is that the right pronunciation?
Yes,
Mel? Welcome back.
It is. Thank you, sir. I am excited to be here. You're one of my favorite people, so thank you.
Well, you are always there's so much, so I don't even know where to start with you. It's like I'm already excited. I don't know what we're talking about. Where should we start?
Wherever you want to start. I think we have to start being very honest about that. Our country is under attack. And the longer that we pretend that it's not, the longer it will be till it's over. So anywhere you want to go, I'm in.
Well, that statement right there, our country's under attack. I agree with that. What do you mean by that?
Well, I have a new book coming out called Infiltration Instead of Invasion, America Betrayed, 1944 to 1954, where I trace exactly how our country got captured. And it talks a lot about the Dulles brothers and what they were doing in Switzerland during World War II to set up the international infrastructure that is supranational. And what I believe at this point is that since John Foster Dulles, who was also running the Council of Foreign Relations, became the head of the State Department, and his brother became the head of the CIA. Now, you have to know, first and foremost, because we have so much lawfare, that both Dulles brothers were Wall Street lawyers. And then they ended up taking over the State Department and international intelligence. And I'm at the point where I believe the CIA was created to protect the international, supranational network of international banks, international organizations, and NGOs, and had changed their entire dynamic, starting with the Secretary of State, John Foster Dulles, and the CIA being one and the same, essentially, to protect the international infrastructure that they clearly built. And I prove in my book that they built it. And that we have an international intelligence problem with the CIA, particularly in all of our embassies. So, I mean, we really have to start to look at what really happened to America. And I believe that we are still dealing with this issue of the State Department, along with their money bags, black money budget out of USAID, their black budget. This year, the CIA has $100 billion budget, and it's opaque. And on top of that, they're totally protected in the embassies. A lot of them even have titles in the embassies, but they're actually CIA agents working with MI6 to protect the international infrastructure that most people don't even know exists. So we do have to be very honest that we were deceived after World War II on a grand scale. And then we, the people of the United States, I fully believe not only our taxpayer dollars paid for the entire Cold War and the entire war on terror, which was an undefined tactic turned on us, but the United States taxpayers, I believe, have fully and completely paid trillions of dollars into the climate and the globalist agenda to end in Agenda 2030. So it's time to be honest that our country has been captured by a supranational group that does not have loyalty or allegiance to the people of this country.
I hope a lot of people listening to this program are tracking with this, that we've seen this. A lot of us woke up to this late. I remember maybe it was November of 2020 when I first heard the term deep state, and I thought, what? Like, what? Is that a thing? What? And then you realize over time, more and more and more, that there has been this entrenched bureaucracy working against we, the people. And so the question is, where did it start? To me, I began to realize, okay, clearly they did kill Kennedy. Like, yes, we know back then they were already entrenched. You're tracing it back to the Dulles brothers, OSS, before CIA. They were creating this thing. Now, there are people for whom this just sounds like conspiracy theory, but the problem, folks, is like, we now know, we have the receipts. It's no longer like, well, who's to say? We have, and I know that in your new book, Mel K, you bring the receipts.
I do.
This is real. So then the first question I'll ask is, do you suppose President Trump is aware of this? And is he trying to dismantle this?
Yes, I do believe he's aware of it. And we have to also, as I said, the Dulles brothers were Wall Street lawyers. And we are not looking enough at the lawyers in this country, particularly the lawfare people, and if they are actually CIA. Because don't forget, if you do even Google it about CIA in our embassies, and of course, Rahm Emanuel was running the Japan embassy during the Otto Penn presidency, and Brzezinski's kid was running the Polish embassy during the Otto Penn presidency. And both of these people are Obama acolytes and, frankly, globalists. So what we are dealing with is a fundamental need for the American people to just set aside what they believe to be true, because they know something's been wrong and they're not sure what. They know money's disappearing in the trillions and they're not sure where. And I actually track it to the Bank of International Settlements, because during and you're right, in my book I put all these documents that I read, including the Red House papers, which were released in the 60s, all the way through what's come out now. And it appears that during the last few years of World War II, particularly 1944, there was a big meeting in Switzerland. The Bank of International Settlements was working with the Reich Bank, and which was Schreff running that, and the Bank of England, which was this guy Norman running that, and for whatever reason, Alan Dulles was involved in the Bank of International Settlements. And McKittrick, running the Bank of International Settlements, was an American lawyer banker as well. So what we're dealing with is that they created in the end years, the fog of the end of the war, before Hitler surrendered, all of these people, the international organization creators, the international banking system, all of these people, they created a way to funnel the money that was looted and stolen from the 60 million people that had their lives destroyed in Europe during World War II through the Bank of International Settlements, which then in 45, they gave the Bank of International Settlements total immunity and then extended that to 62 banks under the Bank of International Settlements, including the IMF and the World Bank. So to this day, that they are protected. They are not allowed to be audited. Switzerland, where it is, doesn't even have jurisdiction over it. It is completely opaque. And frankly, it was at that time that they were creating this global infrastructure. So when H.W. Bush walked on the floor of the United Nations and told us that there was a new world order run by the UN, he left out financial world order. And I believe that this international order was based on that finance above nations could control nations. And of course, later on, they added the UN, and then 76 international organizations also got immunity. So why have they never been investigated? Because that is still in place to this day. If we opened up that Pandora's box, I can't even imagine where it would take us.
Hey there, folks. As hard as it may be for us to believe, especially if we're in America, there are people in other parts of the world who have literally been enslaved because of their faith in Jesus Christ. Some of them for decades. Hundreds of thousands of them have been persecuted and enslaved in the Sudan. Together, right now, we can literally buy their freedom and save the lives of some precious brothers and sisters, give them the joy and hope we celebrate so freely. For only $250, you can provide life-saving aid this Christmas. You can buy a believer's freedom and provide them with much-needed food, a goat, and other necessary goods for their survival. Brothers and sisters enslaved and fearing for their lives, just $250. Maybe you can give more. Maybe you can just give a portion of that. Every gift helps. Imagine buying the freedom of a fellow Christian believer. You can do it. Call 888-253-3522, 888-253-3522. Christian Solidarity International provides life-saving resources for persecuted Christians for almost 40 years, 888-253-3522, or go to ericmetaxas.com and click on the banner. You'll see it, ericmetaxas.com. Click on the banner. Please give someone the gift of getting their life back. Provide life and freedom for someone right now. God bless you. I want to go back just so we understand this. We know these are dark forces. We know they're evil forces. We know they're globalist forces. We know they're anti-freedom, anti-American, anti-we the people forces. We know that. The question is, what is the provenance of all of it? In other words, who are the Dulles brothers in 1944? Where does this come from ultimately? When did this begin?
I think it began before World War I, frankly. But when they proposed the Dawes Plan and the Young Plan that created the Bank of International Settlements, they decided that somehow, first of all, we were told that Switzerland was neutral. That is not true. Switzerland was just where they were setting up the future after World War II. And it's my belief that these wars for profit, as Smedley Butler told us after World War I, have always benefited all the way going to the top. So it's always about transferring wealth to the top and reducing liberty and freedom for the people as they go, which is also why I believe that at the end of World War II, at this Red House meeting where they were talking about getting all of the billions and trillions of dollars through out of Germany into the Bank of International Settlements, into Argentina, a lot of that came here. Many of us know about Operation Paperclip, which is a very ugly and immoral situation in America that most people don't know about. But it turns out that there were tens of thousands of supposedly the best Nazis. And what we have to remember is that Nazis are socialists. So, people think Nazi and they think Hitler and marching and all that. No, they are National Socialist, which is the Democrat Socialist of America are an internationally funded globalist group that follow the same totalitarian ideology that they did. So at this point, what I'm saying is that I believe Trump is dismantling this from the top down, meaning the Bank of International Settlements, the international banking system. That is who he's fighting with the tariffs and all of that and everything that he's doing, particularly right now, the EU and the UK. I know people want to hold on to the Council of Foreign Relations and Brookings and Trilateral Commission idea that we are not an independent nation and that we are still somehow attached to, Europe and the UK. It's not true. They are not the EU is not free anymore. It is turning into what I call the Fourth Reich. I don't see how you don't see that if you really look at what they're doing to their own countries that are stuck and captured inside there. But I also believe that they planned a World War III way back after the end of World War II to culminate in Agenda 2030. So where we are now is that Donald Trump knows that Russiagate was not just about overthrowing the democratically elected president of the United States of America. It was about stopping the change of direction in diplomacy with Russia and Europe. So Trump was not allowed to change course from the original documents of the Project for the New American Century.
He was not allowed to make nice
No.
with Putin
No.
Under any circumstances, because that changes the narrative that they're trying to set up.
Exactly. And frankly, if you listen to George Soros, in 1993, George Soros wrote a document that's still on his website called the NATO World Order. 2 years later, Brzezinski, one of the architects of all of this, and Technocracy, wrote a document at the Council of Foreign Relations also about the NATO World Order. And as you know, just a year later, against the will of Reagan and Gorbachev and the decision made at the end of the USSR, Bill Clinton started expanding NATO. It ceased to be a defensive force. But what we also have to know is that many top-level Hitler generals and stuff were also top-level people at NATO, because Operation Paperclip and Dulles and McCloy brought a lot of the Nazis into West Germany and put them in the international intelligence loop. So a lot of what we've been told about that is false. NATO is not a defensive force. And frankly, George Soros says that he was in Ukraine before the fall of the USSR, setting up what he calls civil society, which is really NGOs, to make sure that Ukraine would be the bulwark, whatever it's called, of World War III. So it was set up in the 90s. And then when Trump got in there, Victoria Nuland in 2015 gave a speech in front of Congress where she said that after Obama overthrew the duly elected president and regime change with USAID and CIA in Ukraine, that Victoria Nuland said that the United States took over Ukraine's entire judicial system, their entire military, their entire civil service, their entire energy sector. So everything that we've been told was about that. But Russiagate was also about that. And trillions of dollars had already been invested. And don't forget, Sam Bankman-Fried somehow had ties to Ukraine. They have the full digital public infrastructure in Ukraine by the time Trump takes office. And then West Exec Advisors, where all of Obama's people went with Anthony Blinken, continued Obama's and Brzezinski's foreign policy while Trump was in office under the guise of being consultants. But no, they were in bed with the military-industrial complex, arming and training Ukraine for the inevitable push to take down Russia.
Next time you come on this program, have a cup of coffee, because I need a little more energy, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, just a little half a cup. Hey there, folks. Okay, it's time to speak plainly. If ever there was a time for plain talk in America, I would say this is it. Every day I hear from people who say, Eric, something feels off. It's like there are these giant forces, global, financial, unaccountable, kind of pushing things around while hardworking Americans foot the bill. Am I crazy? Here's the problem. No, you're not crazy. You're not imagining it. It's true. Whenever there's instability, global tension, market chaos, currency issues, the big financial players always seem to land on their feet, while regular people are left wondering why groceries suddenly cost more than your first car. So the real question is, how do I protect the value of what I've worked for? How do I make sure that the global financial class, the folks who profit from disorder, don't get to toy with my savings? For thousands of years, the answer has been the same. Own something real, something they can't print, can't erase, can't manipulate. I'm talking about physical gold and silver, actual precious metals you can hold, touch, see. Not promises, not theories, not trust us, it's stable this week. And that's why I love what Genesis Gold Group is doing. These are faith-based, value-driven people who believe, as you and I do, that Americans deserve a way to anchor their wealth in something solid. They help you acquire physical gold and silver, real bars, real coins, real metals, not digital gold, not gold exposure, not gold that exists somewhere in theory. I mean the real thing. And let me tell you, in a world where currencies swing wildly, depending on what some global institution decides at 3 a.m., there is something wonderfully sane about holding something they cannot tamper with. Genesis Gold walks you through your options, explains everything in clear language, no jargon, no pressure, and delivers you metals of the highest purity from nationally recognized mints and refiners. This is old school value backed by real people with real integrity. Here's what I know. There are forces out there, they're not elected by you or me, that benefit whenever America is financially unstable. They benefit when the dollar weakens, when markets wobble, when chaos rises. But that does not mean that you and I have to sit quietly and watch our purchasing power disappear. You could take a meaningful step to protect yourself and your family by putting part of your wealth into something time-tested and real. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. They set up a website for us at the Eric Metaxas Show. Go to metaxasgoldira.com. That's metaxasgoldira.com, or click on the link we've provided. Ask your questions, learn what options you have, see how simple it is to own metals outright. Don't wait for the next global shock or the next headline designed to make you wonder if anything's stable anymore. Do something steady and sensible today. Metaxasgoldira.com. Thanks to our partners at Genesis Gold. Get ready to own something the global financial elites cannot mess with. Go to metaxasgoldira.com. Everything you're saying, it is overwhelming. And I guess I always want to ask the question, I sort of asked it a few minutes ago, where do you think we are? Because I keep saying we're in the third existential crisis of our history in America. We have the revolution, we have the Civil War. This is the third one.
Yeah.
I believe it's God's will that we prevail, but we are in a war. There are casualties. We're in a war. Where do you see this going? In other words, where do you think we are right now? Do you think General Flynn will be called into the administration? Where do you think we are?
Well, frankly, something is going on terribly wrong, in my opinion, at the highest level, because the money isn't being stopped. And if the globalist money that is funding the controlled demolition of America is not stopped, I've identified many people, and, I was on tour with Cash and a lot of people, they know this, but they are having a tremendous pushback. I also think that when Holder came in, don't forget, he purged basically the entire DOJ Civil Rights Division and National Security Division and replaced it with all NAACP, Southern Poverty Law Center. So the rod underneath the top level of what Trump's brought in is very deep, very compromised. Frankly, it is my belief that the American people have to realize that not only have we been lied and looted and everything else for decades, but I believe that every single congressperson and senator from January 1st, 2020 to date should have a full DOJ audit, because multiple things happened under the auto pen president. And either they were complicit, they were compromised, or frankly, they don't know. But whatever the case may be, it has been a crime scene in Washington, D.C., well, we know for a very long time, but certainly since January 1st of 2020. So to me, you have to go after the lawyers. Again, the Dulles brothers were Wall Street lawyers. The lawyers right now are the problem. There are 300 globalist-funded, billionaire globalist-funded organizations that are funding Norm Eisen and Mark Elias and everything. They plan to file a lawsuit against every single thing Trump does. They've been planning it since April of 2024. Mary McCord, Andrew Weissman, all these people that we know, all of them are involved in all of this still. And they're under investigation while they're preparing impeachment for Trump. In 2026, they believe that they will steal the election because Mark Elias and all of them are fighting to keep COVID measures in place for voting in 26. They won't turn over the voter rolls. So obviously that all means they're cheating. And then at the same time, apparently Elias has already lawsuits and everything ready to go and impeachment against Trump the minute that they take back the House and Senate. And of course, we're allowing the Democrat Socialists of America to run the Democratic Party. They're anti-America, Constitution, Bill of Rights. They want one-party rule. And yet these weak Republicans who must be compromised, which is why I think everyone should be audited from January 1st, 2020, are not ending the filibuster when they know full well the minute AOC and Jasmine Crockett take over, there's one-party rule no matter what, filibuster's gone. So again, we, the people of the United States, are the only answer. And everything I'm talking about is local. It is local. It is understanding where we are and realizing that the NGOs that are subverting the will of the people under the guise of being civil society are there to make sure the people do not have a voice or a vote. And that is where we are right now. And people that are still sitting on the sidelines and think, somebody else is going to do it. Well, that somebody else will be picked to destroy your community and to destroy this nation. We have 22 attorney generals that have coordinated with Norm Eisen and state democracy defenders to back every lawsuit that comes out of the woodwork, no matter how much it's going to help us. They're going after and not allowing tax on tips right now. I mean, they're going after not allowing the executive branch.
So where is Trump on this? I don't understand. It would seem to me that he would understand this, that he would be going after it, or are there people preventing him from doing that?
I mean, there's no other explanation than that, because I know that they have the evidence. I know Kash Patel knows. I don't know how much Kash can get done, because I think the FBI is rotten to the core. I mean, you can't go from Mueller to Comey to Wray, who ends up being the worst in terms of violating our rights and the Constitution. But how deep is that core? We're talking 20 years of subversion in both the CIA from the beginning, but the FBI has been subverted for decades. And a lot of these people have backgrounds in communism, if not their parents were Bolsheviks that fled here. So, I mean, where are we? Trump knows. I don't know why they're not going after the money. Bassin must know the easiest way to stop this in its tracks is to put sanctions and pause all of the external globalist money going into think tanks that we know are subversive, like Brookings, and stopping the money from Act Blue. That's still not been stopped. This is so much easier. The whole Epstein case.
How can this be, though? In other words, it seems to me that you have to have the ear of some people in the administration. You know Kash Patel. Yeah. How is it? I don't understand how this is possible.
I don't either. All I know is that there should be no court in D.C. They have already violated any idea that they are unbiased or on the side of the people or justice. The Congress could suspend that entire court, which would take out a lot of the worst judges, including Boasberg. That is the Congress can do that in D.C. But if you're going to try cases in Northern Virginia or in Washington, D.C. or Maryland, the surrounding counties, you're going to lose. Chuck Schumer put in 235 judges over the last 4 years to prepare for the inevitable of either the 2020 election being proved stolen or Trump coming back. And I think both are going to happen. I don't know what that looks like.
Hey there, folks. Quick word from today's sponsor. When you hear about rockets, drones, missiles, or a terror attack in Israel, somebody has to rush in after the sirens. That is Magen David Adom, Israel's National Emergency Medical Service, basically Israel's 911. They dispatch every ambulance in the country, take thousands of emergency calls every day, and they also collect, process, and distribute the nation's blood supply for civilians and the IDF. Since October 7th, Magen David Adom says they've lost 40 of their people, medical professionals, and 17 ambulances have been destroyed or disabled. And yes, sometimes medics and ambulances are intentionally targeted. But here's what's incredible. 90% of their 37,500 EMTs, paramedics, and first responders are volunteers. 90%. They keep showing up, yet they need the basics: bandages, blood reserves, medical supplies, ambulances, and training. If you have a heart for Israel, please give whatever you can. Every dollar matters. SavingLifeIsrael.org. Folks, listen, if you've been injured in an accident or someone you love has been, this is something you really need to hear. I've been talking with the team over at Legal Help Center, and they're absolutely committed to helping people just like you understand your rights and figure out what your case may truly be worth. And here's what sets them apart. When you choose Legal Help Center, you're getting a free consultation, no upfront costs whatsoever, agents available 24/7, a connection with a qualified local attorney, and clear guidance so you actually understand your rights. In other words, they make the entire process simple, professional, and genuinely helpful. So here's what to do. Call 800-575-9120. That's 800-575-9120. Or go to LegalHelpCenter.com. Find out how much money you may qualify for. Don't wait. Don't try to go it alone. Certainly don't attempt to become your own lawyer. Let the professionals at Legal Help Center handle this for you. Legal Help Center, helping you know your rights and what your case is really worth. Do you think Trump said recently that he has truckloads of information on
Yes.
the 2020 election being stolen? I always say, like, I knew instantly that it was stolen, and I was just enraged that people didn't seem to care or get it. They were just kind of like, well, just keep moving, keep. I thought, do you understand? Well, like, scandal is just a very nice word for it. I mean, it's absolutely staggering. It's the death of America, and people were like, well, we don't want to talk about it. Trump said, we've got truckloads of information. What do you think is going to happen with that? What do you think is going to happen with the evidence on the stolen election? And what happens when that evidence comes out? What do we do with that?
Well, I think we have to, Eric, and this is the people like you and me that, we're not doing this for any other reason except for that we believe that God has driven us to protect this country and the people of this nation and the world from this totalitarian ugliness. And what I think we really need to pay attention to is that Trump can't do it. And his tweets and stuff, I know it's charming, I guess, but it's not helping because it's hurting and it's giving them more power. But frankly, we have to move some of these grand juries into different places. I know the grand jury for the grand conspiracy of Russiagate is happening, I believe, right now in Florida, which is great. But every time that they file a lawsuit in D.C. or Northern Virginia, they're going to lose. And by design. And then you have to also identify the 235 judges that Schumer claimed they put in to stop Trump's agenda in 2025. So again, then you shouldn't be a judge. As for the theft of the 2020 election, not only do I believe that we're going to be proving that it was international and that was a joint venture, and that a lot of this goes back to Hugo Chavez and the CIA helping Hugo Chavez do a lot of manipulation in his own country that was exported. We have I believe a bunch of Smartmatic guys have been indicted. Most people know that Smartmatic was originally or formerly run by this guy, Lord Moloch Brown, who is George Soros' number 2. And our election was stolen, but frankly, hundreds of elections around the world have been stolen by the same model, same mechanism, same people. And I hope that Trump puts it out. But Trump putting it out is not going to indict these people. The DOJ has to indict them. And there is a problem in that inner circle that is surrounding the indictments, because even Comer listed 10 names of people from the Otto Penn presidency that should have been criminally indicted a month ago. We see no indictments. And I'll tell you what, Eric, I think the easiest indictment is the 51 intelligence agents that defrauded the American people and committed a conspiracy to defraud the American people before a federal election, when they all knew in emails that were recently released that laptop was Hunter Biden since 2019. It was confirmed. And there was plenty of evidence. Yeah, go ahead.
What would you do? I mean, if you could speak to President Trump and say, do this, this, and this, fire Pam Bondi, what does he do?
Well, I mean, I've never been a fan, but what I would like to see in there is a war-hardened, battle axe, like high level, fought the Supreme Court and won attorneys being pulled out. We got people out there like Sidney Powell, like Victoria Tunsing and her husband. We got people out there, good people and honestly, the lawyers they went after are the lawyers they fear. So like John Eastman, Clark, all these people are great lawyers. Look at who they went. The 65 Project went after to take their bar licenses.
Would you think the president could put in Sidney Powell?
I would love if he put in Sidney Powell. Don't forget, she's also a military lawyer. And again, I don't know where the military lawyers are. They brought up 600 JAG lawyers, they said. Well, what are those JAG lawyers doing exactly? That's my hope, because a lot of this is sedition and treason on the highest scale. And it was coordinated with foreign governments. So when you realize that Obama and his friends, Brennan and them, coordinated with the UK and Gina Haspel and MI6 to take down Donald Trump, well, hello, that is so much bigger than just a domestic issue. That is a global crime.
Oh, no, definitely.
Military,
definitely.
in my estimation.
I think, unfortunately, we're out of time. But the good news is, if neither of us is killed, we can do this again.
Yeah.
And I just want to continue the conversation with you, because there's nothing more important, let's be honest. So, Mel, God bless you. Thanks for coming on here. And people can find you where?
I am at the Mel K Show. I have a morning show every single day live, 12 to 1:30 on Rumble and X. And my main hub's Rumble, but I'm a lot of places. And I also want people to know that they have so much more power than they think they do. And their power is local. Get involved. Don't worry about what anyone says or does. Take back your community.
All right, Mel K, God bless you. Thank you so much.
During the horrors of the Holocaust, Corrie ten Boom and her Dutch family, as told in her classic book, The Hiding Place, risked everything to shelter Jewish neighbors in their home. They were betrayed and sent to concentration camps, yet Corrie survived and went on to preach forgiveness and hope around the world. That same redemptive spirit lives on in 10 Boom Coffee. Working with Agro Cafe, an Israeli ag tech company, 10 Boom Coffee helps farmers around the world increase their harvests by 60%, improving both the quality of their beans and the quality of their lives. So every cup you pour becomes part of a legacy, one that stands for courage, kindness, and redemption. Visit 10boomcoffee.com. That's 10boomcoffee.com. Taste the goodness that changes lives. Use the code ERIC and save 10%. 10boomcoffee.com. Use the code ERIC.
This Christmas, as we celebrate the Super Centennial coming up, Super Centennial 250th, there's no way, better way to support it than by supporting my friend, an American hero, Mike Lindell. He's one of the main sponsors on this program. He's the man behind My Pillow. He put his money where his mouth is. Some of you know this if you've watched the program. He stood up for the country. He was unfairly canceled by the big box stores. So I want us to stand with him. So please go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code ERIC to save big on pillows, sheets, slippers, everything you need for Christmas comfort. You'll sleep great, save big, celebrate freedom with My Pillow. Mypillow.com. Use the code ERIC.